you have officially booked your trip to Paris. You are ready, you are planning, and you are doing your due diligence by being on this YouTube video to plan the perfect photo opportunities for your trip to show your Instagram followers, your friends, your family that you have arrived in the city of love. Well, I have got 15 of my top Instagrammable locations and hidden gems in Paris, and I can't wait to share them with you. But whether you are a professional or a novice, or you find yourself somewhere on that spectrum, let me tell you, the city of love is an absolute treat for the eye. So let's dive right in. Before we do, my name is Amanda Weldon. I love to cover style, lifestyle, and travel when we can, and I feel like this is a mix of both style and travel, because along the way you're gonna not only see the photos that me and my fiance Scotty captured while we were in Paris. Trust me, we do have a lot of Scotty too, just in our personal album, but these ones will seem a little self-indulgent because they are a lot of me. A few of the outfits that I've planned along the way and kind of how we matched that up to the scene, which might as well help you with your packing. So without further ado, I'm gonna try my best to pronounce all of these names and give you some history along the way, but the first one is one of my favorites. Plus, there'll be 3 bonuses at the end, so be sure to stick out for that. The first location was one I had on my hit list, and that is the Palais-Royal. And this is a palace that was built in France in the 17th century. What you can recognize about this scene, and what likely you're going to want to capture along your way, is the contemporary artwork that you see in kind of that courtyard area. It is free to the public, so there are so many people that go and enjoy, and you can tell by a couple of the angles that I chose to take with Scotty that we were trying to cut people out. But what's so interesting about this is actually kind of the controversy behind it. It was created by a French conceptual artist. His name is Daniel Burin. And for some, it is looked as this kind of impeding modern artwork. And for some, it is viewed as a successful integration of contemporary artwork into a very historical site. So it is truly up to you what your opinion is, but I thought it was beautiful. And it was so cool to see so many people out and about enjoying this. I found that kids really kind of treated this as their playground, but if you can get higher on some of these little pillars here, taking safety in mind, you can definitely get an incredible shot. The second location is the Louvre, and the Louvre is, oh my gosh, it is so beautiful on the outside. The glass pyramid that you will find there is an installment of its own. Now, Scotty and I didn't have a chance to actually go inside of the Louvre, and that is definitely something we have on our bucket list for next time. We just didn't have enough time. But what we did this morning is we decided to go for sunrise, and I cannot recommend this enough. The Louvre opens up at 10 a.m. So if you can get there earlier, for example, we were up and out of our hotel rather, at 8 a.m. We were there for when the sun was coming up, and it was so energizing. Not only were we able to capture these awesome shots with no one in it. Let me show you a comparison of what it looks like at 2 p.m. versus when we went. It was just so energizing to see people who are actually living in Paris out walking their dog, or out for a quick run in the morning, or on their coffee run. There was just something so special about being up at that time when none of the tourists were really milling about. Being a tourist myself, it felt really cool to kind of integrate into the lifestyle and capture this iconic scene all alone. And not to forget to mention that the Louvre houses some of the most iconic and famous artworks, like the Mona Lisa, for example. So if you do have enough time, or maybe it's a rainy day, this would be an awesome opportunity to go inside. I would say still go early, because the line outside of the pyramid really does fill up quite quickly. On your way to the Louvre, likelihood you are going to be walking through the Tuileries gardens, and they are so stunning and so well manicured. Along your way as well, you will see the iconic green chairs that are kind of a nod to Parisian culture, and they're called the SENAT chairs. They will be likelihood around the fountains that you will also find in the Tuileries gardens along the way. And this is another kind of quintessential Parisian lifestyle view to just go and read a book or enjoy a croissant, depends on what you would like to do. Scotty and I grabbed coffee at Café Kitsune, and then we ended up walking over to the Tuileries gardens to grab some snaps. We did 2 kind of different snaps here on our way to the Louvre. We captured a couple, and then we also kind of did an outfit change and then went back to capture a few with our coffee. They are supposed to really evoke that feeling of history, culture, love of design, and sense of place within the community of Paris. You can't go to Paris without getting a photo with the Eiffel Tower. I mean, that's my opinion, but if it is your first time, this is probably one of the things you are most excited to see. I'm going to share with you a few different angles and places that you can capture yourself, or just the landscape of the Eiffel Tower in all of its glory. And the first is at the base. Otherwise known as Champ de Mars, this area is just absolutely a paradise for taking photos. It spans quite far. You can see so much grass, and a lot of people will end up congregating here throughout the day and even through the night when the Eiffel Tower sparkles on the hour. But as you can tell from some of our photos, this was actually right after the Louvre, so I did a little outfit change to capture these ones as well. And the sun was quite harsh. So I would recommend, if the Eiffel Tower and this angle is your dream shot, to definitely go for sunrise or sunset. Sunrise would be amazing because there would be less people to maybe crop out or try to figure out your patience to get around, but sunset would be equally as gorgeous and just show that many people are out there enjoying this spot as well. The next place for the Eiffel Tower is Jardins de Trocadéro, or Trocadéro Gardens. This spot is amazing because you actually kind of get that elevated perspective because you are actually going to be up quite the set of stairs. When you were looking at the last photos, you were on the other side to this perspective. This is a beautiful public park. It is filled with gardens, it is filled with fountains, it is filled with people doing street performer things. There is so much to be seen on the Trocadéro side. And I do love that elevated perspective. Now, when Scotty and I went, that kind of middle part at the top of the stairs is all currently under construction. I'd have to look to see if it's down, but don't stress if you do show up and there is this huge kind of wooden wall that's set up, because to either side, you can still get the shots that we got. And this was kind of tricky because there were some girls that were taking so long to get the exact same photo over and over and over again. But you just kind of have to take a deep breath, realizing that we're spinning on a rock through space, and be like, it's fine. We will all get an opportunity to get our photo, and then eventually just ask, hey, can I sneak in there for a quick shot? I also recommend always kind of walking around a location that you're at, because on either side there's stairs going down, and even on there we were able to get quite a few really fun shots that maybe looked a little bit different than the top of Trocadéro, and they did show kind of the spanning gardens, the fountains, and all the people that were there also getting their shots. I've seen some fashion creators create ones where you're kind of like walking down the road in between the two streets, but definitely be as safe as possible. There's traffic going on either side, and they're just trying to get done their everyday business. So always have an extra set of eyes to make sure that you are in a safe position to take your photo. The next one, I feel like this is the Pinterest location for grabbing a photo with the Eiffel Tower, but in a different way. And this is Rue de la Université. And this is a side street, so you get the base of the Eiffel Tower and you also get the most beautiful homes. I would recommend, when you're going around and you're taking so many different photos, to as well bring some props with you, whether that be coffee, a croissant. In this one, for example, I just grabbed Vogue because I thought that it would just create some really nice texture to the photos, and honestly, it's also so great to have that Vogue now. I am gonna bring us back to kind of this area in a moment's time, but next up, we're gonna talk about another iconic landmark, and that is the Arc de Triomphe. The Arc de Triomphe is one of the most recognizable landmarks in Paris, other than the Eiffel Tower, I would say. And this is really representative of France and French prowess and victory when it comes to their military. The really cool thing about the Arc de Triomphe is it's actually surrounded by 12 radiating avenues. So there are so many cars that could be going around the Arc de Triomphe, but there are many areas where you can still snap that shot. And if you go early enough, the traffic, again, won't be as busy. Can you tell that I love being an early bird when traveling for these kind of photos? There's this one shot that I really love because I feel like it just adds so much texture. You can see the sign, it's black and white. There's a bike traveling behind me, which to me kind of represents mentally the spokes around the Arc de Triomphe. There is another area. We met a couple of Canadians, a mom and a daughter. They were so sweet, and we were both taking photos, and we kind of helped each other out. This was one of the scenarios where it's like, I really want that shot, but I also want to be as safe as possible. And it's this little tiny berm that goes out that you can walk down to get that kind of straight down the barrel shot of the Arc de Triomphe, but knowing that there is traffic on either side. So if you do take this shot, please do use as much caution as possible. It might be a great opportunity if you do feel safe to do so. When you think of Paris, you also think of the Seine, the river that runs through the city and is so gorgeous, those beautiful bridges, and specifically Pont Alexandre 3. Bridge spans across the Seine River and connects the Champs-Élysées to Les Invalides. The ornate design, the gilded structure and all of those little details along the way, this bridge is the perfect backdrop for photos. Not only of the bridge, along it with a leading eye line, and then as well, if you were kind of standing on the bridge, you can even get a perspective of the Eiffel Tower and Notre-Dame. There is so much history in France and in Paris specifically, and this bridge is a perfect example of that. It was built in 1900, and just walking across it feels like you're really taking in a little bit of history. This is one that I consider a hidden gem, but really isn't hidden at all. It is very much smack dab kind of right in the middle of the city. This is Place Vendôme, and in the middle you'll see this huge copper structure, and at the top is Napoleon. The structure in the middle is another example of military prowess, but all surrounding it now is luxury jewelry shops. And it also makes a really beautiful backdrop for photos, including those blue doors that truly just make my heart swoon. In Paris, this is considered one of the most famous neoclassical squares in the city. Next up, I consider this for sure a hidden gem. This is called Tout-Paris, and it is in Cheval, Blanc, Paris. And this is a restaurant. So what you should do is book a reservation. Know that this is going to be a pricey experience, but it will be so worth it. When you go up to the restaurant, Tout-Paris, you're going to see on the balcony the most stunning view. So to get to Tout-Paris, you have to go into Cheval Blanc, which is a luxury hotel in Paris. It is connected to one of the LVMH newest huge malls. It's called Le Samaritain. And once you go up the elevator, you go into Cheval Blanc, you go up the elevator, and surrounding the elevator will be this video that plays of the Paris skyline of the time that you were going up, and it is so cool. It will catch you by surprise, so that in itself is going to be interesting. And then once you get up to the top, definitely, if weather permits, make sure that you get a patio seat, because you're going to have the opportunity to get some great photos. When you turn to the left, you'll enter Tout-Paris, but if you turn to the right, you'll also be able to explore another side of their patio, and there won't be any people really milling about there unless that side of the restaurant or the service is open. So again, I always recommend whenever you find a great spot, especially if you're up high, make sure that you explore all of the different options. We are actually going to take a mental trip back to Tuileries Gardens and explore the actual gardens this time. The tree lines are so well manicured, and they are just another example of French culture, and it will leave you with a beautiful backdrop no matter what time of year you are going to enjoy. You can enjoy things like tulips, roses, hydrangeas, lilacs, cherry blossoms, magnolias, boxwoods, and their beautifully manicured trees. Again, this is a free park and a great excuse to grab a snack, and a great example of why when you are walking around, if you can, wear layers, because you just put a layer on, you take a layer off, and boom, you have a new style, a new outfit, and a new backdrop to take some photos. The second bridge that I'm going to mention is called Pont Neuf, otherwise known as New Bridge, and you can actually see Pont Neuf right when you are up Tout-Paris, right across the skyline. Boom, there is the bridge. There's so much rich history in this bridge, and it is the perfect backdrop, again, to take some photos with the Seine River and just the gorgeous city line that is Paris. Pont Neuf is known for its architecture, which is a mix of Gothic and Renaissance. And also what you will see on this bridge is the iconic equestrian statue of Henry IV, which I didn't get a photo of, but it was really cool to see in real life. This bridge was built in the 16th century and is considered the oldest stone bridge in Paris. So another little slice of Parisian history. Number 13 is one that you can get at any time, and these signs are so beautiful, and that is the Paris subway station signs. These were first introduced in 1990, and they have been really quickly integrated into the Parisian lifestyle and just the way that you can beautifully display something that is also very utilitarian, like a subway sign. For some reason, I feel like pigeons always collect near subways. Maybe people are throwing their snacks around, but you can also have the opportunity to kind of like walk through the birds, get some extra motion, maybe photograph that outfit that you weren't really planning on photographing, but since you're there you go, you've got a location. As for the signs, a lot of them are considered Art Nouveau, and that is because of the elegant curves and some of the ornate lettering that you will find. This one is a little more simple, but if you're walking through the city, you'll know exactly what I mean. Number 14 is one that you could really take to heart anywhere in the city, and that is exploring the neighborhoods. This little neighborhood that Scotty and I found was right behind Rue de l'Université, and we were kind of just like frustrated by the amount of people that were there. So we decided, okay, let's go get breakfast, let's sit down, let's have a little chillax. And we ended up stumbling upon this gorgeous street that no one was on, and instead of capturing the base of the Eiffel Tower, we ended up capturing the top of it and just the charm that is a Parisian street. I love when you are traveling and you just kind of decide to take a stroll. You never know what's going to be around the next corner, and especially when it comes to Paris, you never know what cafe you're going to stumble upon or anything like that. Choosing to kind of dander around the streets that are a little less expected really gives you the opportunity to be even more creative, because oftentimes when we go, I mean, maybe there are some shots from this too that you're thinking, okay, taking note, I want to get that shot. This gives you the opportunity to really spark your own creativity and try something that maybe you've never seen before. Speaking of that as well, this was one of our also favorite experiences, and that was going to a cafe that was right around the corner from the last street that I showed you. And choosing to go to a cafe that is a little further away from those iconic spots, usually they have a higher star rating. Actually, we found that quite quickly. And the service is a little bit better because they're not used to maybe just getting tourists. They also will get some locals. Now at this cafe specifically, they had the most iconic little combo. You would get a pastry, a juice, and a coffee, and that was the combo. And that was just everything that Scotty and I needed in that moment. Plus, the cafe itself was so beautiful. So I would highly recommend actually going to this one if you do have an opportunity to spend some time around that neighborhood. Whenever we are traveling, we always leave a little room for spontaneity, and sometimes those make for the best photos. So next time on our bucket list, these are the 3 bonus items that maybe you are ready to comment, oh my gosh, you didn't include this. Or if you do have something that I haven't mentioned, please do leave it in the comments down below, because with this bucket list, I'm gonna have so many more to visit when I go to Paris the next time. We're helping each other out. The first one is the Carousel near the Eiffel Tower, or there is a carousel as well, I believe, along Champs-Élysées. There are just so many beautiful photos that I've seen taken at night when it comes to these lights that I would love to kind of take a whack at myself. Next up is Notre-Dame. Yep, we didn't get to go there. I know, it's on our bucket list for next time. This Gothic architecture is so cool, and obviously there's so much history here. And this is one of the most photographed places as well in the world. So next time that we are in Paris, we will try to put it on our itinerary a little higher up on the priority list. Last but not least, technically this isn't in Paris, but it is a great place to go if you are staying for a little bit longer and you have the opportunity to have a day trip, and that is to Versailles, or the Palace of Versailles. Not only am I so wanting to go to the Hall of Mirrors, but just viewing the gardens and just the opulence of Versailles would be, I think, something that would feel otherworldly when visiting, and again, a great opportunity for a photo backdrop. I've included so many more of these details, a little bit more history, a little bit more of this list over on my blog, so I will link that down below. It's just amandaweldon.com, and you will find it under 15 most Instagrammable favorite hidden locations in Paris, and some basically not so hidden. So I hope that you enjoyed this. Please do let me know if you're on your way to Paris. I just want to be so excited for you in the comments. And also, if you have been and you're thinking, hey, I feel like this could also be included in this list, I just watched this because I love Paris, please do leave it in the comments down below. But that's it for me today, guys. I hope you do subscribe and like this video if you made it this far. Please do leave me the croissant emoji or say bonjour in the comments. I would absolutely love that. And as for my French pronunciation, I was trying my best. I'm so sorry if I butchered some of those. I love you guys so much, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.